introduce to us their plan to implement the spirit of the Central Economic Work Conference. We have Mr. Xin Guobin, Vice Minister of Ministry of Industry and Information. We have Qiu Xiaoping, Vice Minister of Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, and we also have with us Mr. Ren Hongbin, Assistant Minister of Commerce. And they will give us an introduction about their plans. And now let's first give the floor to Mr. Xin Guobin. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you very much for your long-time support to the work of the Ministry of Information and Industry. We have been implementing the Central Economic Work Conference, and I will give you a brief introduction about the development of industry and information in 2018. Over the past year, against complex and sophisticated domestic and international economic circumstances, the industry and information system of China has been following the Xi Jinping thoughts of socialism with Chinese characters in a new era. We have been implementing the deployment of the Central Committee and the State Council. We have maintained stable developments, and we have taken very strong steps in high-quality developments. And we must also be mindful of the changes of domestic and foreign environment of our economy. And we are facing sluggish domestic economic momentum. We are facing mounting downward pressure. But in China, we have favorable conditions, such as a sound business environment and a sound mechanism and systems. So I believe we have very good development prospects. As long as we work together with the central leadership, we will be able to weather through all the challenges and maintain sound economic developments. In 2019, the Ministry of Information and Industry will follow through the guideline of the Central Committee of the Communist Party, and we will focus on stabilizing and strengthening our economy, and we will supplementing the weak links and promote the integration of all the elements, and we will focus on 6 key areas. The first is to improve a high-quality development system for the service industry, and we will focus on the performance assessment system. We will focus on the performance evaluation system, and we will focus on key technologies. And thirdly, we will deepen the structural reform of the manufacturing industry. We will reduce overcapacity and further strengthen the foundations of the manufacturing industry. And fourth, we will cultivate a number of high-quality enterprises, and we will implement the promotion law of SMEs, and we will formulate more policies supporting the development of small and medium enterprises. We will deepen the reform, focusing on delegation of power and better management and service. Sixth, we will improve the openness of the manufacturing industry, and this will be focusing on the shipping industry and also the manufacturing industry. And this is a brief introduction of our plan, and now I am willing to answer some of the questions you might have. Thank you very much, Mr. Xin, and now let's give the floor to Mr. Qiu. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. First and foremost, thank you very much for your long-time support of to the work of the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security. And not long ago, the minister of ours have answered questions in interviews and elaborated our basic plans. And now I would like to make some additional points. In 2018, under the leadership of President Xi Jinping as the core of the Central Communist leadership, the Human Resource and Social Security Authority at various levels have been implementing the spirit of the 19th National Party Congress and its second and third plenary sessions. We have been focusing on the main guideline of seeking progress while maintaining stability. We have been promoting employment startups. We have been deepening reform in social securities, and we have successfully accomplished various tasks. The Central Economic Work Conference held not long ago have laid out explicit requirements on the human resource and social security work in a new era, and we will do a very good job in implementing these guidelines by focusing on the following areas of work. And the first is to focus on employment policy. We will put employment as the priority in social and economic development. We will exercise more proactive employment policies by focusing on graduates, migrant workers, and veterans, and we will expand the skill of vocational and skill trainings and improve the overall qualification of all the human resources, and we will promote employment also through startups and lend our support to people with and living in difficulties. And secondly, we will deepen and promote the reform of our pension system, and we will promote the provincial level of integration so that we can lay a very solid basis for the national level integration of the pension system. And thirdly, we will strengthen the team building of professional technicians and skilled workers. And we will do a very good job in talents training, evaluation, circulation, and incentive mechanisms. And the fourth is to protect the legal rights and interests of laborers. And we will do a very good job in ensuring their payments and do a better job in strengthening the employment relation disputes. And we will also be focusing on poverty-stricken areas and do a good job in expanding the coverage of social security. And we will also deepen the reform featuring delegation of power and better management and services so that we can further improve the vitality of the society and the innovation of the whole society. Now I'm willing to answer some of the questions you may have. Thank you very much. And now let's give the floor to Assistant Minister of Commerce, Mr. Ren Hongbin. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here at today's press release, and I want to thank you very much for your long-time support to the work of MOFCOM. Last week, the Minister of Commerce answered questions regarding our plan in implementing the Central Economic Work Conference, and now I would like to give you some additional explanation on the plan of our work. The important speech made by President Xi Jinping at last year's Central Economic Work Conference have laid a solid guideline for the work of the MOFCOM in the future, and we will focus on the following areas of work. First, we will focus on 1 promotion, 2 stabilizations, and 3 key focuses. We will promote consumption, we will tap the potential of consumption, and play a better role of consumption in promoting economic development, and we will further improve the convenience level of foreign trade, improve its quality while maintaining stability, and we will relax market entry, improve our business environment, and stabilize foreign capital. And we will also focus on three key areas, which is number one, do a good job in the second Import-Expo, and we will properly handle the China-US economic and trade frictions and promote free trade zones and the construction of free trade ports. And these are the three very significant political tasks entrusted to MOFCOM. Second, we will formulate an even greater domestic market. We will focus equally on urban consumption and consumption in the rural area. We will improve the urban pedestrian streets and build a number of pilot sites for urban shopping centers, and we will focus equally on pushing industrialized products to the countryside while bringing agricultural products to the cities. We will focus equally on consumption of commodities and services, improve the modern supply chain, and we will also focus on constantly improving our consumption environment so that our residents can eat well, dress well, and use products in a relaxed manner. Third, we will enhance a all-round foreign openness, and we will push the transformation from openness in the field of elements and commodity circulation to the openness of rules. And we will formulate the foreign investment law, and we will comprehensively exercise the pre-entry national treatment and an active list system. And we will also participate in global governance, and we will oppose trade protectionism, and in a lot of multilateral occasions we will voice more Chinese guidelines and Chinese projections. That's a brief introduction of my ministry, and I'm willing to answer some of the questions you have. Now the floor is open for questions. Thank you very much. I'm from China National Television Group. My question is directed to Minister Qiu. And last year, the manufacturing index of China slipped to below 9%. Is this a bad signal? Since the second half of last year, the global economic development has slowed. Domestically, we face some multi-layered elements. We also saw some signs of downward pressure, and this is the reality. So how do we look at this issue? We have to look at this issue from the following perspectives. First, we must be mindful that the industrialized economy is maintaining a development at a reasonable range. The actual performance is actually better than our expectation. While setting the targets for industrial developments in 2016, we set the target at 6%. From January to June last year, the result is actually 6.3%. In December, we saw some drop of this target, but we were very confident in achieving the annual target that we set at the beginning of the year. And all the other economic indicators are very good. For example, in terms of efficiency, from January to November, the profitability of enterprises increased by 0.6%. In terms of investments, while improving efficiency and improving our natural environment, from January to November, the manufacturing investments increased by 9.5% year-on-year, and this is relatively a very good performance. This is even better than 2017, when we registered a relatively low performance. To judge our economic performance, you have to also look at some basic performances. You have to understand that short-term fluctuations are only normal. You have to focus on what are the new targets and what are the general trend. There are some fluctuations generated by changes of foreign environment, and in the long run, we have very good fundamentals of our economy, and those elements which are affecting our economy, these are being gradually solved, and we are protecting our environment. We are exercising very tough regulations, and to some extent, this will affect the economic development in some regions and in some sectors. But we have to know that these regulations, they are setting the foundation for an even greater environment of development. For example, in the steel industry, we have been reducing the overcapacity of this sector. By doing so, we have improved the market environment. Now we are witnessing an increase of the steel prices, and from the first 3 quarters, the profitability level of the steel industries have increased by 7 to 8%. In the first 11 months of this year, the profitability of the steel sector has increased by 52% against last year. You also need to know that our economy is in a phase of transformation. Some of the sectors, they are registering a weaker role in driving our economy, but in the meantime, there are some new drivers. Although some of the new drivers are not able to offset the drops of some traditional sectors, but they are generating a very positive impact to our economy. For example, the auto market in 2018, the total production of vehicles reached 27 million, and the total sales of vehicles reached 28 million, dropped by 4.2% and 2.8% respectively. There are some policy reasons behind this. For example, we finished the purchase tax policy, and this is generating some impact to the market, but there are some new factors in this sector. For example, we have more new energy vehicles, and for new energy vehicles, and we produced a total of 1.26 million sets of new energy vehicles, increased by 9.7%. Although it only accounts for a limited proportion of the overall auto market, let's say it's only less than 5%, but we have to be mindful about this very significant growth momentum. You may ask, the auto market is a very significant driver of our economy. Does its drop indicate continuous trend in 2019 and 2020? I think we have to look at this in an optimistic manner, because in China we have reached a certain scale for our auto markets, and it's only unrealistic for us to maintain robust growth year by year. We have to know that the demands from third and fourth tier cities will be further shown, and we are phasing out some old models of vehicles. So I believe in 2019 we will have very good momentums of the auto market in 2019. So this is a close look at some sectors. And in the service industry, we have witnessed a very good momentum of high-tech manufacturing. And from January to November last year, the high-tech manufacturing registered an increase of 11.8%. So the traditional sectors, they are showing a weaker driving force of our economy, but we have witnessed some new sectors and new drivers, and we remain committed to our structural reforms. And our industrialized economy has a large scale. We have a very good tenacity, and we have a full capacity in handling the risks. And in 2018, the total production of 220 types of products will remain at the forefront of the global ranking. And in particular, the digitalization of the manufacturing industry has brought us new hopes of this industry, and the Central Economic Work Conference focused on high-quality development, and this is one of the 7 key tasks of our economic development in 2019. And we focused a lot on manufacturing industry, and I think this is a very good guideline for our economy. So for quite a number of years, we have been seeing a very good trend, and so we believe that in 2019, the industrialized sector of our economy will have a bright future. Thank you. The lady from the second row, please. Thank you very much. I'm with Xinhua News Agency, and my question is directed to Minister Qiu. My question is, how do you look at the current employment status? Are there going to be some new policies of employment in 2019? To stabilize employment is a major task of the whole society. President Xi Jinping has reiterated for many different occasions that employment is the largest and most important livelihood project. Over the past year, under the leadership of President Xi Jinping and the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, we have seen very positive development of employment. So we can look at this issue from 3 perspectives. The first is, last year we have very good momentum of newly increased employments. In 2018, urban employments increased by 13 million, up by more than 1 million against the previous year, and this is the 6th year that's when we registered a newly increased employment of 13 million. The second perspective is that the unemployment is at a very low level. Last year, the registered urban unemployment was kept at 3.8%. The third perspective is that if you look at the job market, there is very good demand. In 2018, we have registered very good development of job demands and job offers. And the ratio last year was kept at 1.27, which means that for every job offer, there are 1.27 job seekers. So this shows a very good momentum of our employment. In the meantime, we have to see that China is the most populous country with the largest number of laborers in the whole world. And this is a long and arduous and sophisticated task if we talk about employment. And in 2019, we will continue with this employment pressure. And in 2019, we will have to maintain at least 15 million of newly increased jobs. In 2019, we will have 8.34 million college graduates, which is a record high. And we will face even arduous tasks in terms of employment structures. Some of the regions, some sectors, and some groups will feature more employment pressure. So the Central Economic Work Conference have laid out some basic guidelines in light of the current situation. So we have put employment at the priority of our six stabilizations policy. We at the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, we will earnestly implement the spirit of the Central Economic Work Conference. We will adjust the structure and we will promote the employment policies so as to maintain a very good momentum of employment in 2019. We will put employment at our priority, and employment will be set as the priority target for our social and economic development. We will focus on key areas and we will promote the sound development of social and economic development and employment. We will focus on 4 areas. The first is to reduce burdens for enterprises and inject more vitality to enterprises. The stable development of enterprises lays a solid foundation for continuous development of employment. We will research in options in terms of reducing corporate burdens. Last October, the State Council issued an opinion regarding improving the employment work of China in the near term. And if I don't remember wrong, we held a press conference introducing specific measures which included policies such as subsidizing the enterprises which didn't lay off workers or which expanded employment. And we will also improve the quota of startup loans from 100,000 to 15,000 RMB. And for SMEs, the loan quota is increased from 2 million to 3 million yuan. We will exercise a number of substantial measures to reduce burdens for enterprises and inject more momentum to enterprises. And we will also focus on some key groups of people. We will focus on college graduates, migrant workers, and veterans. We will exercise a number of targeted measures. We will improve the real name mannered service mechanism. We will try our utmost to guarantee employment for those groups of people, and we will also strengthen training and reskilling of our workers. We will engage in large scale of vocational trainings. For those who qualify the training successfully, we will give them subsidies, and we will constantly improve the overall qualification of our laborers. And number 4, we will hold our bottom line by protecting the legitimate rights and interests of employees. We will lend a support to families without a labor. We will also do a good job in exercising the unemployment insurance. We will also see to it that all the migrant workers are duly paid with their work. So we will exercise a number of policies to ensure that employment will be very good in 2019. Next question, please. My question is to Mr. Zheng. My question is about what is your comments on the current China-US trade frictions? And what is our plan to counter against the existing frictions? Thank you very much. As for this question, we have issued a lot of statements at MOFCOM, and also the spokesperson of our ministry has spoken repeatedly on many different occasions, and we have been focusing on implementing the consensus reached by our 2 presidents in Argentina, and I hope you can continue follow our website for more information. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm with China News Agency. The Central Economic Work Conference vowed to comprehensively expand our foreign openness. I'm wondering, what are the new measures you plan to exercise for the Hainan Free Trade part? Free Trade Zone is a major measure for China to improve its openness. Currently, we have established 11 free trade zones, and we are currently making progress in building Hainan into a free trade island. Free trade zone is a milestone event in China's overall foreign openness, and MOFCOM will earnestly implement the spirit of the Central Economic Work Conference. We will vigorously promote the construction of FTZs. We will explore models of FTZs with Chinese characteristics. In 2019, we will focus on the following areas. Firstly, we will explore FTZs with Chinese characteristics. We will borrow some international features, and we will formulate some Chinese-style policies for development of FTZs. Second, we will continue to support Shanghai in its innovation of FTZs and foreign openness. And third, we will further relax foreign entry and foreign investments in FTZs, and we will exercise the inactive list, and we will improve the openness in education and medical service. And fourth, we will continue to strengthen the openness of FTZs, and we will focus on key reform elements, which will be first tested in FTZs, so that we can formulate a lot of high-quality experiences and lessons that can be scaled up in other areas. So that's my response to your question. Next question, please. I'm with AAT. My question is, as you know, a lot of the factories, they are closing. Migrant workers, they are facing a very tough situation in employment. A second part of the question is about college graduates. It's very difficult for college graduates to find a job nowadays. So what is your response to those situations? Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. For migrant workers, they are an important force of China's overall openness. Our economic development brings opportunities for migrant workers to improve their income, and the central government has long been attaching great importance to migrant workers. We have formulated a number of very important policies. Various departments and authorities have been following through the policies at the central level. And also because of the diligence of our migrant workers, we have made significant achievements. The overall employment of the migrant workers is very stable and very optimistic. For example, according to the statistics, last year we have seen a slight improvement of the overall number of migrant workers. In the countryside, we are witnessing a growth of people who move to cities. For migrant workers, we mainly refer those who leave the countryside to cities for jobs, and the total number of this group of people is more than 100 million. And we also conducted some interviews, according to which we have found out that some of the migrant workers, they are returning to the rural areas. But according to our surveys and our studies, according to the figures in December, yes, indeed, some of the migrant workers, they are returning to their countryside. And the number of this group of migrant workers slightly increased against the previous year. But we further analyzed the reasons. Some of them are returning to home on an early date, and there are a couple of reasons. Some of them are returning to their home because there are some issues at their home. Some of them are returning to their homes because there are more opportunities near their homes. We have a lot of policies supporting startups at your home, so a lot of them are returning home to start their own business. But we have to be mindful that some of them are returning to their homes because we do have a sluggish economy in some of the sectors. So we have to know that the reasons behind this phenomenon is multifaceted. We have held the Central Economic Work Conference and the Agriculture Work Conference. At many of the seminar conferences, we have laid out explicit guidelines to support the employment of migrant workers, and we will earnestly follow through all those conferences, and we will focus on migrant workers. And this is one key group of people that we focus in our work. So we will stabilize the employment, we will strengthen service, we will support training and subsidies. By doing so, we can stabilize the employment situation. For the stabilization of the employment, we will faithfully follow through the policies and documents issued by the State Council, and we will stabilize the operation of enterprises. And secondly, we will launch the Spring Breeze campaign. We are working closely together with the Ministry of Human Resources and the China Women Federation and a number of other organizations, starting from the January the 8th of our lunar calendar. We will launch this campaign, which will feature theme events for job requirements and job offers, and we will launch a lot of activities, and we will also engage in reskilling trainings. We will improve our subsidy mechanism, we will improve our training mechanism so that those laborers, they are blessed with a better qualification in job seeking. Another area of our job is to lend them with our financial support, and we will support skilled and experienced workers to return to their homes to start their own business through a number of policies, and we will earnestly and vigorously expand employment. And we will continue to do a good job in employment monitoring. For those who cannot find a job in cities or elsewhere, we will work out targeted measures and manners to solve this problem so that they can get mingled or get integrated in cities and in our national economic development. As for college graduates, as I have just introduced, this year, the total number of college graduates will reach a record high, and this year we will have 8.34 million college graduates. And this is another key focus of our work. We also have formulated a number of policies and measures to maintain the overall stability of employment for college graduates. For this year, we do face an arduous task in this aspect. We will support employment and startups of college graduates. We will improve our service. We will do a very good job in supporting them finding a job or starting their own business. This will cover a number of areas. The first is to focus on the implementation of our policies, and this will feature the grassroots orientation and also the talents orientation. We will support the college graduates' development plan, and in the policy issued by the State Council, we do have a lot of financial support policies for job seekers, and a lot of this financial support go to college graduates. And we will focus on SMEs and also on central and western areas of China. And the second policy is to support college graduates to start their own business. We will do a better job in job training, skill training. We will exercise a startup subsidy policy, and we will promote the openness of startup centers and incubators to college graduates. So we have a whole basket of policies in this area, and the third of which is to strengthen employment services. And we will work out a list of employment services. We will simplify job-seeking procedures. We will introduce and bring more enterprises to campuses. We will do a better job in job-seeking guidelines, and we will build a precise platform for job seeking and job hiring. The fourth area of our work is to lend our support to college students having a difficulty in finding jobs, and we will push them information. We will push them information, and we will register those who have a difficulty in finding a job, in particular, college graduates with difficulties. Through these policies, we will help college graduates with difficulties. Through this basket of policies, we believe we will do a good job in 2019, despite the fact that the number of college graduates will reach a record high this year. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you very much. I'm from China Daily. You mentioned that you will seek high-quality development of the manufacturing industry. In 2019, what are the policies to promote high-quality development of the manufacturing industry? Thank you. The Central Economic Work Conference puts the quality of manufacturing industry as one of the cores of our work in 2019. The Ministry of Information and Industry will earnestly follow through this guideline, and we will do a better job in 6 areas regarding the quality of manufacturing industry. The first is to understand that China will continue to embrace the green development, harmonious development, and of this policy, and we will encourage enterprises and local governments to support manufacturing industry, and we will focus more on the development quality and efficiency. And second, we have to promote the transformation and upgrading of conventional industries. This is very important. And for this year, we will focus on the steel industry. And since 2016, we have reduced the overcapacity of steel by 150 million tons. And there is a change of supply and demand in some sectors. And in the future, we will continue to restructure and optimize the supply and demand of the steel industry, and we will also support the panel glass sector, and we will improve the upgrading of facilities in the manufacturing industries and technical upgrading is very important. And we believe this is very important for the development of enterprises, and we will engage in some major technological breakthroughs. We will engage in technological advancements. Through technological developments, we will drive the development of a lot of enterprises, and we will strengthen the cooperation between enterprises and the local markets, and we will improve the tools of technological evaluation and assessments, and we will build, number 3, we will build a integration system of innovation and technology, and we will focus on breakthroughs of core technologies and focus on some key areas in the new year. We will build a number of high-quality innovation centers for the manufacturing industry, and we will build a number of public service platforms so as to launch a strong support to our enterprises. And we will focus on some key projects, for example, civil airplanes, turbine engines, etc. In the meantime, we will make sure that all the enterprises will increase their investments in research and development. We will strengthen R&D investment so that more enterprises can benefit from this. Number 4, we will further support the development of private sector and SMEs. Only recently, China has issued 6 major policies to support the development of SMEs. And we will earnestly follow through this document, and we will strengthen our service to SMEs, and we will improve their professionalism. We will cultivate a number of small giants in the private sector and in the SME sector. We will build sound legal and investment environment for them, and we will exercise some tax rebates for SMEs. We will engage in financial innovations and financial support. In the meantime, we will deepen our reform in innovation mechanism for SMEs so that SMEs will have better and more professional development in the foreseeable future. In some of the industrial parks, we will also support the innovation of the enterprises. Number 5, we will reduce the cost of SMEs, and we will play a leading role as the Ministry of Information and Industry. We will reduce all sorts of charges and fees and tax, and we will further reduce the VAT for the manufacturing industry. We will reduce the fee charges for water use and electricity use. And we will carry out surveys and studies and streamline our fee list. And at the local level, we have phased out 350 billion RMB of fee charges, and we will continue to streamline our fee list. In the meantime, we will streamline and clean up illegal and substandard charges from industrial associations through third-party services and professional guidances, and we will support greater the development of enterprises. And number 6, we will exercise the pre-entry national treatment and negative list system, and this will go to the civil airplane and automotive markets in terms of openness, and from these 6 perspectives, and we will follow through the Central Economic Work Conference and create a stabler and sounder environment for the development of enterprises. Next question, please. In 2016, foreign trade has maintained steady improvements, and can you introduce to us what are the highlights of foreign trade in 2018 and what are the plans in 2019? Thank you. Thank you very much. For 2018, foreign trade has seen good development. In 2018, MOFCOM has engaged in structural reforms and supply-side reform. Imports and exports maintained very good momentum of developments, and we have achieved the target set by the government work plan in 2018, and this is reflected in the following areas. The first is in terms of skills, and in 2018, total imports and exports reached 4.26 trillion RMB. The total number of imports and exports and foreign trade have reached record high. The second is we have made significant achievement in high-quality development. We have optimized the domestic market. The new sectors increased by 5.3%, and the imports and export proportion from Belt and Road countries accounts for 7.4%. And for domestic markets, and central and western part of China increased by 11.8% in terms of China's overall imports and exports. We are also seeing better market players, and private sectors now account for 48% in our foreign trade. And processing trade now accounts for 1/3 of our foreign trade. We have successfully organized the first China Import Exposition, attracting 153 countries, more than 3,600 enterprises. This expo attracted 4,500 participants, and this is a very important measure of our openness. And this is also a substantial step we have taken in building a shared community for a shared destiny. For 3 consecutive years, the procurement index has maintained steady improvements, and auto exports reached more than 1 million sets, and the exports of finished vehicles, finished products also saw record high, and import increased by 19.8% in 2018, and it's contributing 56.6% to China's overall foreign trade. The 6th character is that the foreign trade is contributing greater to China's national development, and from January to November this year, total tax contributed by foreign trade increased to 1.92 trillion RMB, accounting for 12.6% of China's overall government revenue. From the first 3 quarters, China's imports accounts for 10.9% of the global imports. At present, China is facing more uncertainties and unstable elements in foreign trade, and we face mounting downward pressure of global economic development. And the 19th National Party Congress have laid out general guidelines for our economic developments, and President Xi Jinping has announced new measures of facilitating China's foreign openings in the first China Import Expo. And we have taken a lot of measures to dramatically improve our business environments. And in 2019, we will faithfully follow through the arrangements at the China Central Economic Work Conference. We will properly handle foreign environments, and we will focus domestically on improving some systems and mechanisms, and we will continue to make great contribution to China's social and economic development by focusing on the following 7 areas. The first is to build some international sales centers and a number of international promotion centers for commodities. The second is to improve our services to the enterprises in trade, and third is to improve and to support some manufacturers to dramatically expand their global markets. And the fourth is to build 35 cross-border e-commerce platforms, and number 5 to promote the innovative developments of processing trade. And we will support the central and western areas to accommodate China's foreign trade in terms of processing commodities. And the 6th area is to do a better job in the second China Import Expo, and the 7th is to do a better job in the delegation of power and exercise and provide better management and service to our enterprises. I believe that with the support of the central leadership and under the auspices of the MOFCOM, we will do a better job against uncertain and unstable international environments. I believe that in 2019, we will continue to do a very good job. Thank you very much. Next question, please. My question is directed to MOFCOM. One of the key tasks of MOFCOM is to do a better job in the second China Import Expo. And you also mentioned to properly handle China-US trade frictions. I think this is very good wording. So I'm wondering if you have some new measures to do that. Thank you for your question. In 2018, MOFCOM focused on 3 key areas, as I have just introduced. Number 1, we have successfully organized the China's first Import Expo. The Import Expo is a very important milestone, and this is the first time that a country has organized a Import Expo. We have garnered accolades from the international community, because this is an event that we organized against the backdrop of growing and rising trade protectionism. And this is sending a very good signal to trading partners of China all across the world. And this is also a contribution to the betterment of people's livelihood. So the MOFCOM, under the leadership of the central government, we will do a better job this year for the second China Import Expo. President Xi Jinping said that we will continue to do this year by year, and we will do a better job year after year. So for the second China Import Expo, we will do an even better job. We will focus on high-quality expositions. We will focus on high-level diplomatic works, and we will focus on a higher level of Hongqiao International Development Forum. I believe the Import Expo will become a good platform, attracting more participants and attracting wider international attention. For the second part of your question regarding China-US trade frictions, we believe cooperation between our two countries is mutually beneficial and can lead to a win-win result. China and the United States, China-US relations is the most important bilateral relations in the whole world, and it's very important for both countries, for the whole world, and for our peoples. So, if we can cooperate, we can bring benefit to both sides. If we engage in trade frictions, we will both be hurt. So I think this should become the consensus of our two parties, and we will continue to properly handle this issue. The third job we did last year, and will continue to do this year, is to do a better job in free trade zones and free trade ports. Free trade ports are a very important job we do in expanding foreign openness in a new era. As for specific plans, I think they will be made public as we advance forward. So these are the three key areas of work that we do at MOFCOM, and this is because we are expanding our foreign openness, and our President Xi Jinping has reiterated that China supports economic globalization, and we support the convenience and trade facilitation of global trade, and this is basically following through the guideline of President Xi Jinping. And so in the new year, MOFCOM will continue to follow with the leadership of the Central Committee, and we will focus on our tasks and do a better job with these three projects. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you very much. I'm from China Economic Times. According to the Central Economic Work Conference, we have to deepen reforms in our pension system, and I'm wondering what are the new measures we might have in this regard. Social security is very important to our livelihood, and it's related to each and every one of us. It's also related to China's overall development. A lot of the attention is paid to this area from the central government. Since the 18th National Party Congress, the central leadership, with President Xi Jinping as the core, has carefully analyzed this system, and with the support of a number of competent authorities, Social Security has seen great momentum, and we have basically established a wide-covering Social Security system. And the basic Social Security net now covers 940 million people. Pension system and the job injury insurance system are covering a growing number of people as well. In the meantime, we are witnessing expanding scale of funds, and the overall level of Social Security is improving. We have now more than 1.2 billion people who are holders of Social Security cards. But we must also be mindful that, as you have mentioned, we do face some problems. In particular, the Chinese population is quickly aging, with a significant skew of aged population. These are some of the very obvious features of our population, and this is posing also new threats to our social security work. The core is to look at the ratio between people who make money and people who are relying on pensions, and the ratio is continuously dropping, and this is posing a significant threat to the job that we do at the Ministry of Human Resources. In 2018, we have a 5 trillion RMB on our account book for pension system, which is to say that we are able to meet the demands for the future 17 months. So, in general, we can basically meet the demands, but we do have some issues at some regions, and this is not evenly distributed in a lot of the regions. Some of the regions we do have fewer people who are working and more people who rely on pensions. Some of the regions, they do face a very significant task. And the pension fund in some regions is not doing well, and in light of this situation, we will faithfully follow through the Central Economic Work Conference to deepen reform and to do a better job in holding firm to our bottom lines. We have to focus on the present and also look into the future, while improving the sustainable development of the pension system. We have a couple of measures. The first is to encourage all the people to be part of China's social security system. And secondly, we have to exercise the central deployment system for the social security fund of all the enterprises. We have to push national deployment and national arrangements of China's pension accounts. This is a major breakthrough of our reform in 2018, and currently this exercise, this policy is well under implementation, and it's showing great results. So in 2019, we'll strengthen the national level adjustment of these accounts. And number 4, we will engage in multi-channel investment of the fund, and we will engage in market-oriented operation of the fund so that the fund can increase its value. Another measure we take is to further supplement this fund with some national assets, so that this fund can better guard against risks. And another measure we will exercise is to develop a multi-level, a multi-layered security system. So these are the 5 measures that we will put into place so as to ensure the sustainable development of the pension accounts. Final question, please. My question is to Minister Qiu. What is your comments about the Chinese government's adjustments of Made in China 2015? What are the specific adjustments that you will make to this important plan? Are you saying that we're going to adjust the Made in China 2015-25 plan? Formulating strategic plans is a common practice of all the countries. All the countries have the right to seek development. Made in China 2025 is a policy that we formulated given the features that manufacturing in China is big but not strong, and this policy is aimed at solving our own problems and to lead the market enterprises to upgrade their performances. And this is absolutely legitimate, a national strategy. According to the 19th National Party Congress, we have to further improve the quality of China's manufacturing industry. According to the Central Economic Work Conference, we will continue to focus on some key areas and key technologies. As for some of the new challenges and new tasks and new features in a new era, we will improve our foreign openness. We will build an environment that allow us to phase out backward facilities and technologies, and I believe the overall competitiveness of China's manufacturing industry will continue to grow. The efficiency will continue to rise. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is the end of today's press release. Thank you to all.